Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Ayo. This is the butt of my senior pit bull mix, Papuji, and we're coming to you from Gowanus, Brooklyn. This is Yoga for Everybody. Today's practice is for achy joints. It's a low activity level, and it's just to sort of get the juiciness of your joints going. So if you woke up feeling pain in your joints, it's great for you. I wake up feeling pain depending on the weather, what I ate, how much I was walking the day before. So as always, I don't know why it is that you might be feeling the pain in your joints, so please do what works for your body, take what you like and leave the rest. Today's practice, it will be helpful to have a cushion or some blocks. If it's helpful to have a tie or a strap to facilitate drawing your knees into your chest, that's a nice thing to have. And then if you also want to put a blanket down on your mat or have a blanket for your knees. Mine is currently taken. All right, we're gonna start on our backs. So we'll start lying down on our backs, and you can just lie comfortably with your knees comfortably bent, hands on the lower belly. I like to pad under my head a little bit. That's just from an Alexander technique perspective. When we have the head all the way back on the floor, it just pulls a little bit on the upper parts of the back, right? So just lifting the neck up just like an inch or so just releases some of the gentle tension on the back of the neck and the upper back, and just a little more in its natural alignment. So you can close your eyes if you like. Notice the parts of you that touch the floor. And as I often do in the practice, I just invite you to think about widening your back on your inhales, or the parts of you that touch the floor, bottoms of the feet, and softening on your exhales. Just drawing some awareness inwards. Maybe you already feel the pain really deeply, or maybe it's in your low back or your hips, but just use your breath to try to open that space a little. Checking in with your body and what your pain level is for today, and just taking note of it. If it feels safe for you to hold space for your emotions here, and you have emotions that come up in the body, you can just let yourself name them, and then try to let that go and come back to just the physical sensation of your body. And soft, widening breath out. And soft, widening breath in. All right, when you're ready, we're going to start just by drawing the knees into the chest. If it's helpful for you to use a strap behind the thighs, you can use a strap. We're just really gently pulling the knees into the chest. And the idea here is that I'm using the strength of my arms, right? So I'm trying not to use the muscles of my legs and my back, but instead I'm holding onto my knees. I'm going to pull my knees towards my chest using the strength of my arms. So if I let go of my feet, they just kind of flop down, right? So we're just trying to find that nice easiness. And for me, I like to let my tailbone lift up just a little bit and lower it back down, so it just lengthens my low back out. It's usually a place for me that's pretty achy. Okay, and then we're going to start by just some gentle movements. So maybe just a little rocking from side to side. Doesn't have to be a big rock. Like, we're just moving the knees side to side, maybe an inch. And what happens with that is my hands are doing the work, so I can feel just a softening in my hip socket. I'm getting a passive, gentle movement in my hip socket. So again, what we're looking for is passive movement, not everything rocking together using your muscles, but the hands move the knees, and that creates some gentle movement of the femur bone, top of that femur bone in the hip socket. You can see that my feet are just kind of floppy and easy. And then we're just going to start to move the knees in some circles. Again, really with this idea that we're staying soft to the hip sockets. Now, if it's tricky to hold on to the knees. You could either try widening your knees out a little bit. You could grab hold of your pants and use your pants, right? Same thing, and just grab if you're wearing pants or whatever you're wearing. But so that you just get the sense that the legs are nice and easy. It's true that the upper body's doing a little bit of work. I mean, we got a little work happening in the arms. I'm trying to keep my collarbones wide as I do this. Just getting that nice passive movement in the hips. You could also take one knee at a time here. So if you wanted to, you can just draw one knee in, make little circles. Again, with this idea that the upper body works a little bit, not hard work, but we're just finding that nice, easy hip. And if you're doing one side, you can switch to the other. And then when you're ready, we're going to draw both knees in again. And this time, go ahead and draw them nice and wide. And just draw them nice and wide with the strength of your arms. And then back together. Again, you can use your hands just supporting on your clothing if that's helpful. Oh, this might get your digestion going as well. And then we're going to do the opposite. We're going to move them away and then towards. Again, not going so far away that you have to hold with the muscles of your legs. So if your arms are a little bit shorter or you don't reach your knees very easily, then you don't have to straighten your arms all the way or don't have to go quite as far. Just do what works for your body. Okay, we're going to draw one knee in. We're going to lengthen the other leg down. And then from here, you get to just, again, explore the knee. I want you to think of staying nice and soft through the extended leg. And then this knee is just moving around. I'm not in as much pain as I was yesterday. Yesterday I woke up with real sore joints, and this felt really good. And when you cross over the center of the body, if you get a little pinch in the inside there of your hip crease, I have been told that that is a tight psoas muscle, and that you can just sort of move in and out of it. Just giving it a little massage. And then usually when I'm sore right about now, I'm ready to release that leg down, right? I'm ready to release the leg that I'm working on, get that nice open feeling on the front of the thigh, and then draw the opposite knee in. And then again, moving the knee around. Notice what's happening in your lower back and your upper back here. If you're feeling really tense, you might need to tuck your tailbone under again. So that means just lifting up the hips, tucking under, and lengthening the low back down. Again, you can see that my foot is just really in a state of release, like my ankle is totally relaxed. And if you get that little pinch, you can just gently move into it. Whew. And then I'm going to go ahead and lower that leg down nice and long. If it's painful for your lower back, or if your lower back is aching, don't lie with both knees straight. Just bend the opposite leg for a breath. And we're just giving some openness there in that hip crease that we were just in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bend both knees here nice and easy in any way that feels good to me. And then we're going to bring the arms up towards the sky, and I'm going to bring the hands so that they're right over the shoulders here. Now we're going to take the fingers, and you can just imagine here, I invite you to imagine that your hands are just like your fingers are just gently just draping down from strings, right? So we're just sort of hanging the weight of the arms. So what I mean by that is, instead of the shoulders coming up off the floor, we're going to imagine that the arm just is sort of just hanging down so that the upper arm bone can soften into the socket. We're not pushing, right? There's no effort there. It's just like a nice softening, giving into gravity. Okay, and then from here, we're just going to trace some little circles of our fingers along the ceiling, like our fingertips are little pencils. And we're just tracing small circles. So we're just getting a little bit of mobility and action going in the shoulder joint. So all these actions are just to help warm the synovial fluids of the body, and the fluids of the joints, get them active, lubricating the joints. And just sort of switch as it feels good. For me, when my joints really hurt, it doesn't feel good to go super wide in here. It feels nice just to stay just right above the shoulder. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to draw the elbows down to the floor, out to the sides, and then just let the arms extend. So now the arms are in a T shape. If that feels like too much on your shoulders, you can lower the arms downwards a little bit. And just take a couple of breaths there, just maybe feeling the expansion. I just might wiggle my fingers a little bit here. Feel the expansion from my fingertips reaching out. The front of the chest is nice and open. And a couple breaths there. Okay, your choice how you want to keep the arms here. You could keep them out to T shape, or you could bring them back onto the belly. You can also facilitate drawing your knee into your chest. We're going to reach the right foot up towards the sky, and this is not about the hamstring stretching. So what I'm doing here is I'm imagining that my foot, maybe the middle of the foot, or you could imagine your toes, but without pointing them, again, like they're hanging from the ceiling. So there's this feeling that the leg is sort of almost dropping back towards the hip socket, nice and easy. Right, so I'm not pushing through. Like right now I can feel my hamstring injury is a little inflamed today, so I'm going to let it soften. And then same thing, we're just going to take a nice easy circle with the foot in the air, right? As if the bottom of the foot is drawing a circle on the ceiling. You can see that my whole leg goes with it. So I'm not rotating through the ankle here, but you can rotate through the ankle if your ankles are hurting. But right now what I'm trying to do is I'm just getting some nice easy movement now in the hip socket. So the joints do have to gently work. It's not the same as being totally passive, but I'm trying to find a sense of ease, right? So that I'm not using so much of the gross muscles on the leg, but I'm really tapping into the connections in my joints, right? Staying nice and soft and easy. Or just using some of those smaller, more articulate areas. Okay, when you're ready, you can lower that down. If you want to lengthen that leg for a moment, you can. And then we'll just come into the other side. Again, lifting the foot up towards the sky, not stretching through the hamstrings. I'm not straightening the leg or flexing the foot or pointing it. I'm letting the joint soften. So soft ankle, soft knee, soft hip. Just imagining that my leg is sort of hanging from the ceiling. So it just kind of drops back down, nice, easy. And then finding a gentle circle. So a couple inches around as we trace the foot. Now already I can tell as I do this circle, when I come up here, I can tell that my psoas is kind of jumping and tensing up. So instead of doing such a big circle on the side, I'm going to encourage my psoas muscle to release. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, there is a video on the psoas, and you can check it out. I'll post it up in the next video slot. Okay, nice gentle movement there. All right, we're going to come back to the right leg. This time we're going to bend the right knee in towards the chest and let it soften. And then I'm going to open the right knee out to the side, like kind of like at a diagonal. Right, so just like letting that soften down. And I'm not pushing it away from me. I'm letting the thigh bone soften in. And we're going to try to keep the thigh fairly stable. It's going to move around a little bit, and we're going to make some circles with the foot. Again, I'm not really focused on the movement of the ankle, but I'm really focused on just that shin bone circulating in the air. Now what we're doing here is we're getting into our adductor muscles on the inside of the leg. Doesn't feel good to you, you can stop. If you're like, I'm not sure if I feel it, then you can do 10 of them and see if you start to feel your inner thigh. And just getting a little bit of stability again, finding some softness in the muscles. I'm only going to do about 5 of those. I'm going to draw myself back to center. I'm going to lower that down. Already I feel a little achiness in my back, so I'm going to take a couple of breaths there. I might even draw my knees into my chest just to release that, maybe a little extra tuck in my tailbone. And then we'll do the other side. So allowing the left knee to draw into the chest, open the knee out to the side, and keeping that thigh just about right where it is space. It kind of moves and rotates a little bit, but I'm really focused on the shin and the foot, just creating a circle in the air. I'm going to put my hand here on my belly, just encouraging my psoas to soften. And finding those adductors, drawing the foot in and up and around. Okay, when you're ready, you can draw the knees back to center, lower the feet down, or draw the knees into the chest, whatever feels right to you. Okay, so for this one, we're going to let the right knee draw into the chest so that the right foot is up off the floor, and then we're going to let the right knee open out to the side, and we're going to try to keep the thigh close to the body, so not moving away from the body. We're going to keep it close to the body, and then I'm going to take my left leg, and I'm going to let my left knee counterbalance the weight of my right. So they're sort of counterbalancing against my pelvis. Now, if this is too much on the inner thigh or on the joint, you can always pad underneath your left knee. Now I'm trying to keep my right thigh right where it is, right? So I'm not going to move it away and let these muscles take over. I'm actually going to soften the muscles through here. Keep the thigh close. You can put your hands on it if that's helpful. Do a little space hold on it. And then I'm going to start to reach my right foot as if it's going to face up towards the ceiling. Again, so I'm not letting that right thigh move away from me and trying to get the leg straight. I'm trying to soften the joint, I'm trying to soften the thigh towards the side of my body. And I get a pinching on the inside of that hip crease there. That's my psoas muscle again. It's getting a little information. I'm getting some soft release there in that muscle. When you're ready, drop the right heel back down towards the sits bone or rebending the right knee. Let both knees float gently back to center. The right foot is still up off the floor, and then let that right foot come down. Now for me, because I feel a pretty deep kind of pressure on that psoas, it's nice to just release the leg down nice and long. You can imagine the leg releasing from your navel, right, from the middle of your belly all the way down. So that leg is nice and long. And take a breath in. And a soft breath out, rebending the right knee. Bottom of the foot on the floor. When you're ready, float your left knee in towards the chest. And then we're going to open the left knee out to the side. Oh my goodness. Yeah, really crunchy there on my hip crease this morning. All right, I'm going to counterbalance with the weight of my right leg. Again, you can place some padding or a cushion underneath that right thigh. And I'm going to try to keep my left thigh in a space hold. It's not going to move away. I'm just going to lift the foot to face up towards the sky. Deep crease there in my hip. I really feel that muscle releasing. And I'm starting to feel a little back on my piriformis on my right, and I know for me that's where I get a little sciatic tension, so I'm actually going to just lay off that a little bit, just adjust my foot a little bit, so I'm just really feeling this crease on the front of the left hip. Give me some information about my psoas. Then we're going to drop the heel back towards the sits bone on that left, draw the knees back to center, and then release the left leg nice and long along the floor. And a couple breaths here. All right, when you're ready, you can rebend that knee. We're going to again float the arms up towards the sky and hands right over the shoulders. I'm going to feel a gentle pressure on my head from my animal here. Okay, and then again, we're going to lower the elbows onto the floor out to the side, lower the hands out so the arms come into a T shape. Okay, so we are going to take a twist here now, and on especially achy days, that can be a little challenging. So I recommend having a pillow nearby if you need it, or if you're feeling super achy. We're going to move the hips over to one side. I'm going to start on my right side, and I'm going to draw my knees up and over, and my feet up and over towards the left. Whoa, now already I know that I'm tense and achy through my upper back. So I'm going to place a pillow between my knees and my shins, and then I'm not going to focus on forcing my right arm down towards the floor. For today, I'm actually going to let my elbow bend and let my hand come into the air, and then we're just going to do a little gentle circle with the wrist for those of you that are feeling some wrist and hand tension, joint tension, and try to just stay really soft and easy and articulate through those hands. And then now I'm going to take the whole arm in a circle. I'm going to circle the arm all the way around as if I'm tracing a circle on the floor. But I don't have to touch the floor. And sometimes in classes, I'll see this done where they say to try to keep your hand on the floor the whole time as you're tracing a circle. And that's okay if you want to work that way. That's a little bit more about stretching the shoulder open. And right now I'm just trying to get my fluids going. I'm just trying to get the fluid of my shoulder just working with a little support. And I like to go down and over my legs and then up and over my head, because then when I come back up and over my head, I get this nice opening in the shoulder. Okay. So a couple of those. When you're ready, we are going to come into the twist. And releasing the head in the opposite direction of the knees. If you are feeling tightness in your shoulder and your arm doesn't come to the floor, you can pad underneath your shoulder or your arm. If it's uncomfortable, if your chin is coming up, you might put some extra padding under the back of the head. For those of you who are watching this, thank you for dealing with my dog taking her morning bath on camera. For those of you who are listening to this, my dog above my head just decided to give herself a little cleaning. Okay, we're going to come back to center. Oh, just letting yourself adjust back. A couple of breaths here again. Just let the body settle. Find some width on the back. I open my elbows out to the side. I let my arms come open to that nice T shape. I feel the space between my fingers expanding. Nice long open collarbones. I'm going to move my hips up and over to the opposite side. For me, that's the left right now. Move my feet and my knees over towards the right. I'm going to pad between my knees and my shins. I'm going to bend my left elbow so that my left hand is in the air, and then just floating some circles. And a little articulation through the forearm, through the hand, through the fingers. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to extend that circle to the whole arm. So I'm going to lengthen the arm and then rotate the arm around. Again, doesn't have to go all the way to the ground if that doesn't feel good, if it feels like too much stretching. So figure out what works for you, or just finding a little articulation in the joint, and the muscles do have to learn how to support us against gravity here. So we're trying to do that with a sense of ease, without tensing up. Oh, I don't like going that way. I want to go down over the body and up over the head, and then opening out towards the left. So I get that nice opening. And then on my opening, I'm just going to let my arm soften open. Now, you'll notice that when I do these things, I don't put a really specific number on, like, I know I do about 5, if that's what feels good or what feels right. But I kind of just feel my body out, right? Every side is different. You do want to make sure that you always do both sides, because that's helpful for the body. But I'm not super attached to sticking on the number. Just releasing that left shoulder down to the floor in the opposite direction of your legs, letting your back soften. Okay, so that completes the supine version of this practice for today. We are going to do a little bit of weight bearing and coming onto our hands and our knees, just as a way to prep yourself to work against gravity through the rest of your day. If you're not having a rest of your day and you're doing this as a nighttime practice, you could also just end here and take a little rest.